Jnanakosha, Puranas.
सर्गच्च प्रतिसर्गच्च वंशो मन्वन्तराणि च वंशानुचरितं चैव पुराणं पञ्चलक्षणम्.
Markandeya Purana. Once Jaivani, a disciple of sage Vedavyasa, expressed his curiosity before Markandeya. O Lord, in the great epic Mahabharata, which was created by Vedavyasa, description of dharma, artha, kama and moksha appears to be intervened at times, and at other times it appears to be separate from one another. Vedavyasa had described the norms, the stages and the means to perform the duties in all the four stages. This epic contains cryptic knowledge of Vedas. Hence, O great sage, I have approached you in order to grasp the full knowledge contained in Mahabharata with your help. Why did Lord take human incarnation even though he is the cause of the origin, perpetuation and destruction of the universe? How did Draupadi become the wife of 5 Pandavas? How did Balarama expiate from the sin of killing a Brahmin? How did Draupadi's son give up their lives? Kindly narrate all these things in detail. Markandeya says, O Muni, presently I am engaged in evening worship. Hence I do not have time to narrate these things in detail. But I am telling you about the birds which will narrate you the entire content of Mahabharata. Those birds will also remove all your doubts. Sons of the great bird Drona, Pingaksha and Vibhodha, Suputra, Sumukha, stay in the caves among the hills of Vindhyachal. They are proficient in Vedas. Go and ask them. They will remove all your doubts. Markandeya's words surprised Jaimani. To confirm, he asked again, it is surprising that the birds could narrate the content of Mahabharata just like human beings. It is even more surprising that they are proficient in Vedas knowledge, which is even rare to find among humans. Kindly tell me, how did they come to acquire such profound knowledge despite having been born in the form of birds? Why do you call them as the sons of Drona? Markandeya says, long ago, a strange event took place in Nandanvan involving Indra, Devrishi, Narada and some of the Apsaras. One day Indra was enjoying his time in the Nandanvan forest along with his Apsaras. At the same time Narada also arrived there. Indra welcomed and offered him a seat. The Apsaras also greeted Narada. Indra then said, Munivar, tell me what you desire now. If you desire to listen to a song, should I order the Gandharvas, or if you wish to watch the dance, should I order one of my Apsaras? Menaka, Rambha, Mishrakeshi or Urvashi. Any of these 4 can perform a seducing dance before you. Narada expressed his desire to watch the dance of an Apsara who was superior in beauty to the other Apsaras. This led to a row among the Apsaras. Each one of them was proud of her beauty and talent. Narada then advised them to test their beauty by breaking sage Durvasa's penance, who was at that time staying on a hilltop. All the Apsaras expressed their inability to perform this task successfully. Only an Apsara named Vapu, driven by her haughtiness, accepted to break the penance of sage Durvasa. Accordingly, she reached the hill where Durvasa was staying and began to sing an infatuating song in her sweet voice. Very soon the song began to show its effect on Durvasa. Attracted by the sweet voice, Durvasa went in search of the origin of the voice and found Vapu singing at a distance. Durvasa understood that the Apsara had come to break his penance. Angrily, he cursed the Apsara that she would take birth in the lineage of the birds for 16 years. She would not bear a child and ultimately would be killed by a weapon to regain her heavenly abode. After saying this, sage Durvasa migrated to Akshaganga and Akashaganga, where his creations and famous mythological characters birth the four birds. Markandeya says, in the lineage of the avian king Garuda, there were two brothers, Kanak and Kandhar. One day Kanak visited Kailash Parbat, where a demon, Vidya or Yudrup, who was a slave of Kubera, was enjoying privacy with his wife and drinking wine. Seeing Kanak, the demon showed his displeasure at his arrival at an improper time. But Kanak boldly asserted his right on the mountain, as according to him it belonged to all. The infuriated demon dissipated Kanak with his sword. Hearing the news of his brother's killing, Kandha resolved to kill the demon. After performing the last rites of his brother, he also arrived on the mountain where the demon, Vidrayudrup, was still drinking wine with his wife. The demon lost his temper again. Kandhar then challenged the demon to have a fight with him. A fierce battle ensued between them. Ultimately, Kandhar killed the demon. The demon's wife, Mandanika, finding herself in a helpless situation, accepted Kandhar as her husband. Thus Kandhar returned to his palace with a newly found wife. Mandanika was in fact the daughter of Menaka, the Apsara, and could change her guise at will. After marrying Kandhar, she took the guise of the bird. The bird Mandanika was born as Apsara, Vapu in her next birth due to the curse of sage Durvasa. Kandhara named her Tarakshi. A Brahmin named Mandapal had 4 sons. Drona was the youngest among them and proficient in scriptures. Vedas. Kandhar married his daughter Tarakshi to Drona. After their marriage, Drona and Tarakshi were spending their time happily. Tarakshi conceived during the same time when the battle of Mahabharata was going on. As destiny would have it, Tarakshi flew over the battlefield where she saw Arjuna and Bhagdat, the king of Prayojatishpur, fighting valiantly against each other. Accidentally, an arrow aimed at Bhagdat went in the direction of Tarakshi and struck her in the abdomen and tore it apart. As a result of this, 4 eggs fell on the ground. At the same time, a huge bell fell from Supratik's neck, the elephant of the Bhagadat, and covered the eggs safely. After the battle of Mahabharata was over, a sage Shami visited the battlefield. There he happened to spot the bell and heard faint chirping coming from underneath the bell. The sage removed the bell and discovered 4 wingless chicks beneath it. Surprisingly, he said his disciples, "Look, falling of these eggs and getting safely covered by the bell simultaneously show that these chicks are no ordinary birds." Then he instructed his disciples to carry the eggs to the hermitage and keep it securely at a place safe from predators. The disciples did as told. Birds migrate to Vindhyachal. Sage Shami thereafter began to foster the chicks in his hermitage. With time, the chicks grew feathers and began to fly here and there. But every time the birds went out, they returned to the hermitage by evening. The birds also gained Vedic knowledge by hearing the discourses which sage Shami used to give daily to his disciples. One day when sage Shami was preaching his disciples, the birds arrived there and said, "O great sage, you are like our father because you have protected us. You are our teacher also because we have gained knowledge from you. Now we have grown up. Kindly tell us what should we do." The birds, speaking like learned people, amazed the sage as well as his disciple. He asked the birds, Tell us, how did you speak so clearly, and is there any curse behind your present condition? The birds replied, O sage, long ago there used to live a sage, Vipulaswan. He had two sons, Krish and Tumbaru. In our previous birth, we were the sons of Sukrish. When our father and uncle performed yajna, we brought them all the required materials. One day, Indra arrived at our hermitage disguised as an aged bird. The aged bird was starving, hence, we requested our father to provide him with some food. Upon inquiring by our father, the bird expressed his desire to eat human flesh. Our father tried to dissuade the bird, but it did not give up its insistence. Then our father called us and said that he had promised the bird to feed it with human flesh. So we were asked to donate our body in order to satisfy the bird's hunger. But even being frightened, we expressed our inability to meet the demand of the starving bird. This infuriated our father, for we were violating his promise that he had made to the bird. He then cursed us to take birth as birds in our next life, and himself got ready to donate his body. As our father was breathing his last, Indra resumed his real self and said, O great sage, I took these guys only to test your character. Kindly forgive me and tell me what you desire now. Indra blessed our father to have a divine knowledge and penance before free from all obstacles. Thereafter we also fell at our father's feet and begged for his pardon. We requested him to take back his words, but he said that his words would not go futile, but still he blessed us to have supreme knowledge even in the form of birds. Concluding their talk, the bird said, O Lord, thus controlled by destiny, our father cursed us. After some time we took birth in bird form in the battlefield where you found us and fostered us in your hermitage. Now we are strong enough to fly long distances, so kindly free us from your obligations. Hearing the words of bird, sage Shami said to his disciple, Look, I had already told you that these birds were no ordinary creatures. They even survived the battle of Mahabharata. It shows their greatness. Then sage Shami granted them permission to migrate to the Vindhyachal. The birds decided to pass their time by studying the Vedas and doing penance as long as they stayed there. Divine place of God. Sage Jaimini reached Vindhyachal and arrived before the birds as per Markendeya's instructions. He said, O birds, I am Jaimini, the disciple of Vyasa. I have come here with a desire to have your glimpse. The birds welcomed him, saying, It is our great fortune that you have arrived here. Your arrival has made us feel as if God himself has arrived. Jaimini said, O learned birds, kindly listen to the purpose of my visit. Sage Markandeya instructed me to come here and see you. You kindly answer my questions that I have in the contest of Mahabharata. The birds assured him of every possible explanation as per their knowledge. Sage Jaimini proceeded, Why did Lord take human incarnation even though he is the cause of the origin, perpetuation and destruction of the universe? How did Draupadi come to be the queen of 5 Pandavas? How did Balarama expiate for the sin of killing a Brahmin? How were Draupadi's sons attained martyrdom? Kindly narrate all these things in detail. The bird says, The omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent Almighty God is worshipped even by the deities. We salute that Lord Vishnu who is the originator of this universe and who pervades everywhere. We salute Brahma from whose 4 mouths the Vedas appeared and sanctified all the 3 worlds. We bow down at the feet of Mahadeva. Those sages who have metaphysical knowledge assert that Narayana exists in 4 forms, which are both tangible and intangible. His first form is Vasudeva, appearance of who is more imaginative in nature. This form exists everywhere and in every ages. The second form of Narayana is the one that bears the earth on his head. This form of God is known as Shesh, being tamasi in nature. This form has taken a serpent incarnation. The third form of God exhibits his divine power and place. It fosters all the creatures, protects religion, and is known as Pradyumna. Yet another form of God known as Aniruddha rests on the serpent's bed in the abyssal depth of water. It carries out the task of creation. The third form of God destroys the religious demons and the irreligious demons in the past, and this same form rescued the earth from the abyss in the incarnation of a boar, Varaha, and killed the demon king Hiranyakashipu in the form of Narasimha. The same form of God has appeared now in Lord Krishna's incarnation. Draupadi's five husbands. The birds say, frightened by the severe penance of Trishira, Indra killed them to protect his authority and power. But the sin of killing a Brahmin took away Indra's radiance. Trishira was the son of Swasta. Swasta became furious at his son's death. He plucked one strand of hair from his hair lock and offered it in the sacrificial fire. This resulted in the creation of a formidable and strong demon named Vritrasur. This demon was created with the objective of killing Indra. Learning about the birth of Vritrasur, Indra sent Saptarishis as emissaries to work out a pact with the demon. The Saptarishis affected a friendship between Indra and Vritrasur, but Indra had other ideas. He took Vritrasur by surprise and killed him. This deceitful action of Indra further enraged the clans of demons. Soon the atrocities of the demons increased to unbearable limits. Even Prithvi felt unable to bear the burden of their atrocities. She approached the deities and requested them to get her rid of the burden. Thus, to relieve Prithvi of her burden, the deities began to take incarnation on earth. Dharma and Vayu implanted Indra's radiance in the womb of Kunti. This resulted in the birth of Yudhishthira and Bhima. Then Indra himself produced Arjuna from Kunti. Nakul and Sahadev were born because of Indra's radiance implanted by Ashwini Kumars in the womb of Madri. Thus all the five Pandavas originated from the same source even though they appeared as distinct entities, whereas Draupadi was none other than Shuchi, the wife of Indra, produced from the altar in Draupad's palace. In human incarnation, Draupadi got five Pandavas as her husband. Expiation of Balarama. Sri Krishna's brother Balarama had remained impartial in the battle of Mahabharata. Instead of championing the cause either for the Pandavas or for the Kauravas, he had preferred to go on a pilgrimage. His wife Revati also accompanied him on this pilgrimage. Once while travelling, Balarama drank toddy and entered a beautiful garden known as Raivat. Taking a stroll, Balarama and Raivati then reached a hut. In the hut, many Brahmins were sitting and listening to Suta's oration. When the Brahmins saw Balarama, they stood up and felicitated him. Only Suta did not stand up. Balarama felt insulted and at once killed him. When Balarama regained his composure after the intoxication recedes, he felt guilty for his deed. His belief that killing of Suta would enable him to attain a palace in Brahmaloka proved to be based on false notion, as the Brahmins had shunned him for his deed. After Balarama realized his folly, he began to curse himself and resolved to observe a 12-year-long fast in order to expiate for his sin. Thereafter, Balarama migrated to a place of pilgrimage known as Pratiloma Saraswati to carry out his expiation.